Sometimes following CAIR on TV makes one wonder what good CAIR actually does. CAIR tells us what they consider to be their achievements in this 2018 Year in Review video.
The family says men in a pickup truck swerved into their lane and made obscene gestures at them. They say the men targeted them because they're Muslim.
I spoke with the family's attorney here at the Georgia chapter of the Council on American Islamic Relations, and he tells me the men in this video not only harassed the group, including children, but put the family in danger.
You know, they were a little bit stunned and shocked and scared at the time.
Police are investigating this, but not as a hate crime.
Well, that's because Georgia has no hate crime law on the books. According to the family's attorney, if these men are identified and charged, their attorney believes it will more than likely be something along the lines of aggressive driving or possibly even disorderly conduct.
After a year of importuning the police, CAIR finally caught the desperados. What a relief. CAIR had TV station WSB concoct a fraudulent news story to defame a sitting judge in order to influence a legal decision.
Faizan Azizan is pleading for mercy in the back of a Sandy Springs cop car after officers arrested him for disorderly conduct.
The whole time I was just like in a state of shock and crying.
The Iranian political refugee fled torture in his home country and was experiencing PTSD. According to this transcript of the hearing we obtained, after Azizan told City Judge Sharon Dixon he was an Iranian political refugee, she unloaded on him, saying, quote, "I know where you came from. Women don't mean anything. You need to go to jail. You are despicable to me."
What the media described as bigotry was actually the judge's disgust with Faisal Azizan's disregard for other people. He almost killed his Uber passenger, Miss Thurman. The judge prompted him 3 times to apologize to Mrs. Thurman, but he couldn't do it. The broadcast never mentions Mrs. Thurman, and despite having won a favorable decision for their client on appeal, and Dixon stepping down from the bench to take a lower-paying job in another city, CAIR stalked her there and demanded her resignation.
Yeah, Jovita, this week, Sandy Springs leaders appointed their municipal judges, and Sharon Dixon was no longer among them. There's now a push for Dunwoody to push her off the bench here, too.
I was attacked based on my region, based on my nationality.
After our story aired, the city agreed to overturn the sentence, and last week, Dixon sent an email to the mayor asking him not to consider her for another term. Now, the Council on American Islamic Relations of Georgia has sent a letter to the city of Dunwoody demanding they remove Dixon from the bench here, but a spokeswoman for the city told us at this point they have no plans to do so.
And they are proud of this?
Bigots have no place teaching courses to our law enforcement officers.
You can't teach a course about the facts regarding violent Muslims, not with CAIR around. Once again, CAIR interfered in police business and got the course canceled. Mission accomplished.
Called Islam in America. CAIR director Edward Ahmed Mitchell hasn't attended a class, but has heard the instructor speak at other events, and he says what he's teaching is false.
Teaching people to hate a religion and fear its followers, that to this day I still remember someone in that audience murmuring, well, if they, Muslims, are going to kill us, maybe we should start killing them. Look, here's the problem. If someone in their public life goes around saying the N-word or saying that Jewish people are plotting to take over the country, you would never let that man teach a class about anything.
And he did invite CAIR to come out and take part in the class with them. They declined, saying they wouldn't attend a class taught by a racist.
Taught by former Woodstock Police Chief David Boras, a course that Boras has given to community groups and to law enforcement in one form or another for years. And what Edward Mitchell heard when he sat through the presentation.
It was the greatest hits of anti-Muslim bigotry.
Mitchell of the Georgia chapter of the Council on Islamic American Relations and other civil rights groups accused Boras of teaching anti-Muslim bigotry in the guise of teaching how to recognize and fight terrorism.
Mr. Boras has been teaching some of the most virulent and horrible bigotry that you can imagine.
I took the class, and none of that I perceived was bigoted.
Sacha Baron Cohen pranked Jason Spencer on TV. It was terribly embarrassing for the Georgia state senator. There was no reason for CAIR to say anything.
He should certainly not only apologize, but go ahead and resign his seat.
My name is Jason Spencer. I'm a state representative in the Georgia General Assembly.
The Republican state lawmaker featured heavily in an episode of the new Showtime series, Who is America?, under the false premise of participating in an anti-terrorism training video. Spencer is shown not only using a racial slur, but dropping his pants.
Go!
That's a Georgia representative right there. He says he was tricked into doing this, screaming the N-word, dropping his pants, pretending to be Asian, all to fight terrorism. Jason Spencer has since apologized for this behavior, but tonight, a growing number of lawmakers are outraged. They are calling on him to resign.
This behavior is unbecoming of anybody, but especially someone who is a state legislator. It is an embarrassment to the state of Georgia every minute that he continues to serve in office.
This is bullying, not an achievement. This pattern continues into their current 2020 achievements video.
We called on the NBA to prioritize its commitment to social justice over profits by ending all collaboration with the Chinese Communist Party until the government ceases its ongoing campaign of genocide against the country's Uyghur Muslim minority. We made the same demands on Coca-Cola, Apple, and other major corporations.
Ibrahim Hooper with the Council on American Islamic Relations says the money isn't worth compromising American values.
We really can't do business as usual with them just to make a buck, and that seems to be what the NBA is doing.
The NBA and China probably don't know that CAIR even exists. Oh well, it wasn't a total loss. They got on TV.
We spoke out against the rising tide of anti-Asian hate crimes during the pandemic.
CAIR used this story to promote themselves. Both the police and the mayor made a public statement with CAIR sandwiched in between.
It happened on May 12th at Save-A-Lot on Church Street, when a drunken 57-year-old named Robert Schroet saw Hmong people entering the store.
They were wearing masks because of the COVID to protect themselves while they were shopping in public.
The police report states Schroet, who is white, started to harass the shoppers using racial slurs. He later allegedly admitted targeting them for their race.
Basically blaming them for the reason why we were in the state of the pandemic that we are.
The department recommending charges worth up to a year in jail time. The latest incident in Stevens Point receiving national criticism from the Council on American Islamic Relations. The Stevens Point mayor says these actions will not be tolerated.
I give you my word that when we see or hear about these acts of hatred and bigotry and racism, that we will deal with them swiftly and justly.
The only achievement here is that they got themselves on TV with status equivalent to the police and mayor. They are good at that kind of thing.
Following the police murder of George Floyd in Minnesota, we joined our justice partners nationwide in challenging systemic anti-black racism and white supremacy.
CAIR wishes they were BLM, but mostly Black Lives Matter gives CAIR the pretext to get on TV. They can give their recommendations to the city and then get mad when the city ignores them.
Later today, the Council on American Islamic Relations, or CAIR, will be joining Black Lives Matter and other coalition organizations to offer other specific recommendations that they would like to see to end police brutality, misconduct, and abuse of authority statewide. They plan to speak via a Zoom call at noon.
We can't stop demanding for change. Otherwise, we will see another George Floyd on our own watch. So,
Minnesota's Council on American Islamic Relations, 2 Black Lives Matter chapters, and the Minneapolis nonprofit Communities United Against Police Brutality were among the groups presenting more than 40 recommendations today.
Minnesota killed George Floyd. It's a sad day for me as a community leader to see that the state that killed George Floyd does not want and is not interested in Black lives.
Or have people fired for criticizing Black Lives Matter on social media.
A Northeast Wisconsin college employee is out of a job tonight after making controversial comments on social media.
Bigots not being brain surgeons, they're usually equal opportunity offenders. When they go after one group of people, they'll normally go after another group of people too.
Fox Valley Technical College spokesperson Chris Jossert made the comments and posts on LinkedIn. They reportedly called the Black Lives Matter movement a disgrace.
I almost do the exact job that this guy used to do.
It's an achievement. Look, Ma, I'm on TV. The 2019 CAIR California Annual Report spells it out plainly. You are looking at a public relations firm with themselves as their biggest client. Their achievements are promoting themselves on TV while avoiding stories about violent Muslims. It's the hyped up Council on American Islamic Relations.